Welcome back, or welcome to. My name is Colton Loberg, and today we're talking about beliefs. We're talking about Lord Jesus. Beliefs come in all shapes and sizes from places that we cannot even imagine. In fact, what is a belief that you have that you didn't even create? About money. Money doesn't grow on trees. When I was a youngster, I adopted a belief that money was something I could just figure out.
Wait a minute!
So I learned that I could turn 150 into 500. I just bought a cheap vehicle and just put a different price tag on it. And it worked pretty well for me. I also had the belief that it was a good idea to bring a gun to school.
Oh my god! Wow!
It wasn't real, but it was dumb. Along with that, I did have one more belief that was quite detrimental to my failures, and that was that I couldn't say no.
Hey kid, get in my van and I'll give you some candy.
Okay!
Which at the time, because of the belief that I had, was actually very true. I quickly ended up experimenting with drugs.
Drugs.
No, we're okay.
Drugs.
This is awkward. No, thank you.
Drugs.
Who invited?
Smoking really young, drinking really young, and it ended up causing me a lot of problems in life. Unless you ultimately decide the beliefs that you want to have, you're basically left with just the ones influenced by your environment, by your parents, by your friends, by strangers. Have you ever met someone for less than like 1 minute in a grocery store and still to this day you remember every detail about them and that interaction, and yet you have no idea who they are? Or maybe you do, but you just met them once and they're gone now. Maybe you fell in love in the grocery store, love at first sight, and then she walked away. So our beliefs can be influenced by many things, like our environment, hence why a lot of people are miserable when it's raining or snowing, yet when it's sunny, people are super happy. But in reality, we can choose if we want to be happy when it snows or when it rains. You just might not want to, but you can. So do give yourself credit where credit is due.
Tell them to bring me my money. Yeah!
Strangers can even influence your life 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, for your entire lifetime if you choose to keep the belief that maybe you've adopted from them. Here's some proof. Have you ever been in Tim Hortons or drive-thru and somebody paid for your coffee?
Click clackety duck. This is what the fuck I want.
If you haven't had this opportunity, I'm sorry. But what it can do is actually give you the belief that strangers can be generous and strangers care. This belief to somebody that doesn't believe something like that could actually do a lot. Like I mentioned before, there's a lot of things that can influence our beliefs. External, internal, environment, relationships, friends, family, and ultimately that influences our actions, our behaviors, and even our thoughts. So if you're in a place where you're trying to change, this is something you really need to know and understand well. An example of this in my life would be back when I was really fed up with my life and where I was at, and I was in a lot of some serious mental illness. I mean, it was a really low point in my life. It was to the point where just to get cigarettes, me and the boys go out and pick cigarette butts out of ashtrays.
What are you doing?
I'm not smoking crack.
Don't lie to me.
No, I am smoking crack.
That was easy.
And that was dirt nasty, and I felt like it didn't align with my values and beliefs, so it was conflicting. When you have conflicting beliefs, there's a couple things you can do, but first thing is you need to be aware of the belief. A lot of people just aren't even aware of the beliefs that they have. So it's a really good exercise to write down beliefs that are empowering, disempowering, and just look at where they came from. And even that alone will give you a little bit more of a feeling of control over the situation. When I was in the environment, picking up butts, as well with picking up butts, I mean, I was doing hard drugs every single day, and if I couldn't afford it, it was a trap house, there was drugs around. Ultimately, this led to me getting psychosis, which if you don't know, it's when basically it's mental illness where you lose reality. You lose touch with reality, and a common symptom is that you hear voices in your head and even hallucinate, and I had both of those. So until I questioned the beliefs that I had adopted of like, oh, I just love to party, this is great, this is just a fun life to live, man. Sex all the time, doing drugs all the time, and if you just do drugs, like instead of feeling the low, you just do more drugs, you never feel that crash until one day you get psychosis and then you really feel the crash, and it's painful. All this to say, and write this down, what are the things in your life right now, or the beliefs, or the environments, or the people, or the places that are preventing you from changing? Are they external, other people, places, things? Are they internal, thoughts and beliefs that you have yourself, limitations maybe that you've put onto yourself? And they may be true, they may not be true, but you can decide what you want to be true. So if you have a belief that says, I just love partying, I mean, that might be true. And that was true for me. I loved to party. I felt like I was a god. I felt like that was the true, real me. Until I changed that belief, though, and also looked at where that belief came from, I didn't have any control to change the situation. It's really interesting to me and kind of funny that you hear people say when they're trying to change, I've tried everything. No, if you would have tried everything, you would be exactly where you want to be. You just tried and then failed and got feedback and felt like, no, I don't want to try it again because you got a little pain. In fact, if you look at people that are really good examples of this, like top athletes and top performers and people, or just people that are genuinely happy, those people are doing things different, and they've probably failed before as well, but they've been able to be humble and put their ego aside and just try again.
Oh my God!
So what have we learned so far? There are many external forces that influence our beliefs, our thoughts, and our actions. 2, there are also internal things that affect and influence our thoughts and behaviors in a positive or negative way. For example, recently I started leaving a sticky note pad in the bathroom. So whenever I get a chance, I write something on there like, damn, you're so sexy. Stick it on there, makes me feel great. When I wake up and I go have a shower, first thing I see is, damn, I look sexy. And I might not feel sexy, I might not even look sexy to some people, but in my own eyes, I'm fine as hell. When I was in that place with psychosis and just mentally in not a good place, because I would look in the mirror and I would down talk myself, and I'd be like, you ugly piece of shit. Like the things that I would say to myself, I would never say to somebody else, unless they made me really mad, because I was kind of an asshole at that point in time too. The moment that I decided that I needed to change and that I was actually felt like I had a little bit of control to take my life back in my own hands, one of the things I started doing was looking in the mirror and also writing sticky notes saying like, hey, you look okay today. Which, I'm not lying. I'm just saying like, hey, like you look okay.
Okay.
That's better, a lot better than down talking yourself. So for you, if, saying you're sexy feels a little bit too crazy, a little bit too out there, you'll get there eventually. Trust me, if you keep at it, because I did, and I did not think I would ever call myself sexy. And I, to be honest, like, meh, I'm alright. But in my mind, fine as wine. 3, we are ultimately in control if we're conscious about what result we are ultimately trying to achieve. For me, it was to cure psychosis. It was to get over my addiction. It was to make myself feel like I wasn't a piece of shit. And that takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of steps. But ultimately, what it comes down to is, do you believe that you can do it? Can somebody believe that they are a fish? Absolutely. Have you ever seen the show My Strange Addiction? There are some people on there that believe outrageous things. And in their mind, they believe they're a fish. Or they believe that their car wants to have sex with them. That's not true. That is just factually not true. And there are things in my life that I know are factually not true. I'm not a 10. But in my mind, I think I'm a goddamn 15. On most days. Some day, I'm human. It fluctuates. But I've trained myself to think this way. Number 4, if we want to gain some control over change, over our lives, we need to at least know what our beliefs are, know where they came from, and that in itself will give us a little bit of power over them to make change. Back to the money example, money doesn't grow on trees, but that belief is not very empowering. Something empowering would be, money doesn't grow on trees, but apples do. And I can sell fucking apples. If you're serious about change, what may be holding you back is a belief that you're not even aware that you have. And you may not have even consciously decided that you wanted that belief. It may have been influenced by somebody else. So it's not your fault. Give yourself a little credit and don't beat yourself up. I've thought thoughts before that would absolutely throw me in jail for life. But that doesn't mean I am those thoughts. That doesn't mean I am those beliefs. Somebody can go to jail for killing somebody and come back out and completely change their identity. That's the power of belief. Once you're not just born with these traits and that's your life and you just go along living your life and this is just who I am. It's just not the way it is. You have so much more control than that. But the thing with this is it's a practice and it takes training, it takes repetition. For me, it took me at least 2 years to finally get a bit of a control over my identity and not call myself a piece of shit every day. As a little bit of homework, I know this isn't school and I fucking hate school, but as a little piece of homework, do this for yourself. What is something, a belief that you've been holding on to or that's holding you back that you do not want to be a part of your life anymore? And what are you going to do? What is the new belief that you're going to adopt, put in place of that one so you can start training it into your mind and make it a habit? Because it's very easy to feel out of control. There's so much going on in the world and so much that's out of our control that just isn't fair necessarily. But it doesn't mean that we can't choose to believe how we feel about those things. We can decide how we react to those things. We can choose to believe, yeah, this is really shitty time. But inside, for me, I'm not going to let it affect me. For the last 2 years of COVID, I've just been living my life. I have been traveling just as much, meeting just as many people. Just grateful that I didn't let it completely control my life. And you have that decision to make too. If you want to make it stick even more, get a pack of sticky notes, write your old belief on the sticky note, cross it out, get another sticky note, and put over top of that your new belief, and put that on your mirror. Then every single day, you're triggering your mind to think a different way. And if you want to really make this stick, no pun intended, if you think about your belief and you put some emotional intensity behind it, like you're driving in your car and you just scream out at the top of your lungs, I'm not going to put up with this anymore, and keep on doing that, that repetition will make it stick so much faster. There were plenty of times where I would be driving in my car when I was in that place, and I would just be screaming at the top of my lungs things that I wasn't going to put up with anymore, and then things that I wanted in my life. And slowly, over time, that actually made a really big difference. If you're feeling a little ballsy, you can even put in the comments your old belief and your new belief. Empowering, disempowering. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope this was helpful. And if you're not subscribed, subscribe, like the video, share the video. That helps the channel grow. I hope this has given you a new perspective and a little bit more control over your situation. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Let's go! That was so good. That was so good. And it's your decision to make, and it will make the world a better place. Because a lot of people know a lot of things and they just don't do fuck all. Don't be that person. It's hard initially, and then it gets easier and easier and easier. And then you get happier and happier and happier. Like, I have been having a really shitty couple of years, and then I've just kind of decided, like, you know what, man, I'm not going to put up with that anymore. And slowly, I'm getting back to where I was before. I'm starting to feel damn good throughout my days. When you're in the place where you're like, you don't see that as possible, and you're just like, ah, what's the point? Like, I could do this, I could try that, I could do this, blah. Just try one thing, or at least commit to yourself not to be miserable. Like, commit to yourself that, hey, life's too short for me to be a fucking asshole.